Bajirao Peshwa, Uday Kulkarni again dwells on the premises of the Peshwa reign, but war and bloodshed are not the issues of concern here. This elegantly published volume titled James Wales, Artist and Antiquarian in the time of Sawai Madhaorao Peshwa is all about a relatively less celebrated artist who was patronized by the Peshwas in the late 18th century, but whose large number of portraits of royalty and landscapes of styles such as Elephanta and Ellora merit special attention. An alumna of the AFMC Pune and Mumbai University, Uday Kulkarni served as a surgeon in the Indian Navy. Post-retirement, he obtained a degree in communication and journalism from Pune University. He still continues with his medical practice and devotes time to reading and writing. Kulkarni's latest book James Wales traces the journey of this Scottish artist from Britain to colonial India and is based on actual documents, diaries of Wales and his paintings scattered across various collections in the world and painstakingly collected by Dr. Saab. Compared to British artists like Thomas and William Daniel or Johann Zoffany, who stayed in India for several years, James Wales spent a little over 4 years here because he came in 1791 and he passed away, prematurely in 1795. But he shared the same taste and eye for the exotic and the picturesque. So let us travel back in time over to the author, Dr. Kulkarni, and he will take you to his journey through Sir James Wales' work here. Thank you. It's a PowerPoint presentation which needs a little bit of adjustment, so please bear with us.
Hello Antiquarians, and I'm really a great pleasure to be here. It's going to be more of a conversation than a talk. And I was just thinking I was coming here that I come from Pune, which is the land of the Peshwas, and Nagpur, which is the kingdom of the Bhosles. And these are only two royal families which no longer exist because they fought against the British in the Third Anglo-Maratha War in 1817-18. So I think we have a lot in common from that point of view. But time is limited, so let me get back to the subject on hand, which is James Wales. A very scarcely heard name, and therefore I will just try to bring out what all he did here in the 4 years that he came here, how he happened to come here, and so on and so forth. This man was born in 1747 in Scotland, and he started his career as a landscape artist, tried to make a living there, selling his work, tried to make portraits of eminent people in Scotland and so on. But he was not making two ends meet. We find in Edinburgh there's a record, even today in the city council, of his house, rent not having been paid. And all his belongings were auctioned. Princely sum of £10 and some shillings were recovered, which were paid to the landlord. So with that kind of a living, from there he moved to London. And at London, that is where his fortune really changed. He was doing a few paintings, he exhibited his paintings even in the Royal Academy over there. But what changed his life was a chance meeting with James Forbes. Now James Forbes was an English official who came from India on a vacation to England. And along with him he brought some sketches of the Elephanta caves and a big banyan tree which happened to be somewhere in India. And looking at these pictures, he wanted James Wales to kind of make them better and make new versions of them. And that is how he ended up doing engravings of these first two paintings. And talking to James Forbes, he realized that if he had to make his fame and he had to earn his fortune, the place to be was India, which at that time was still not under British rule and which was probably one of the richest places to be in the planet. So soon you find James Wales trying to get a passport, which was essential to come to India, and that passport he got from the East India Company, and you find him coming here and over here when he comes, he first lands in Bombay, which is very unusual. Calcutta being the bigger and the richer presidency, most English artists finally land up there. But James Wales, bucking the trend, actually came to Bombay. And in Bombay, when he came there, he met a lot of people, the British community over there. He drew their sketches, their paintings and so on. Famously, he drew the 12 paintings of Bombay, 12 views of Bombay, which are right now being exhibited in one place in Bombay, the contemporary pictures to compare them, how the city has changed. And along the way, when he was doing all this, you find that he meets, this is one of his views, in Bombay he meets the British resident in Pune, who had come on a vacation there, called Charles Mallet. Now in this picture, if you just concentrate a little bit, this is a view of Bombay Sawai fort which was there. And you can see these people here, because the fat Killedar, the fort, with his main sahib and a servant carrying a baby behind. I just highlighted those here. But a significant part of this character standing here, who's probably a war-wounded chap, he's shown him with one limb missing, upper limb missing and one wooden leg. So from those days, these are the minor details you find him observing and bringing out into his illustration. So there are 12 views of Bombay, all of which merit a look. So, and they showed this entire open landscape to be the Bombay of that time. So in Bombay, he met two important people. The first person he met was to be his mentor in the years to come, or his patron, I would say rather. That is on the, this is Sir Charles Wall Mallet. Now Sir Charles Wall Mallet was a resident in Pune from 1787 onwards, and for getting the Marathas and the British together in the fight against Tipu Sultan in 1790, they signed a treaty. And for getting that treaty signed, he was given the baronetcy and he became a Sir, with a title which still remains in his family even today. And the second person he met in Bombay was an absconder from justice in Scotland. He was a resident of Stirlingshire, and from there he was running away from justice. He came to India. He changed into Indian dress, grew a beard, wore a turban. His name was Hugh Seton, but in India he carried on the name of Chris Roberts. Because Chris Roberts had just come back from Pune to Bombay. When Charles Mallet met James Wales, he told him that I have brought along with me an invitation for you to come to Pune from the Peshwa himself, and please come down there, draw their pictures, and you learn a lot of money and you learn a lot of fame. So next thing he had to find out, because in absence of Google Maps at that time, he had to meet this man, Hugh Seton, who had just come from Pune, and he asked him what is the way to come to Pune. And he gave him a letter saying this is the way, you must take 90 miles journey from Bombay to Pune. And from that diary, you find that James Wales made his way on this path. There's slightly unusual about the path. If any of you have been on the Bombay-Pune journey, you will find that unlike the present train which comes via Talegaon, or even the road which comes via Talegaon, here you find him from Khandala onwards, going back behind the fort of Lohargarh, passing waters today occupied by two dams. At Lonavala there is a Bushi Dam, and behind Lohargarh there is a Pauna Dam, where there used to be a village called Ambegaon. So crossing that path, he comes up the ghat. It's the month of June, the third week of June, it's raining. He's being carried in his palki by servants, and at various places that he stops, he describes his experience. There's a magnificent temple at Khopoli, but the houses are so mean, the people are so prejudiced. So very candid notes and very incisive observations is what you find in his diaries. And when he comes here to a place called Market, he comes across a very strange experience, which I think it's better to be seen than described. Because what Wales describes is that he has never seen anything like this. It was the monsoon, the rivers were in flood, and the Mula River, which is Market today, is an IT hub in Pune. It's extremely congested, there are traffic jams, and the Mula River was in flood. And the first challenge before him, 8 miles from the center of the Maratha Empire, was how to cross the river. And he remarks that it's astonishing that 8 miles from the capital of Maratha Empire, there are no boats and there are no bridges to cross this river. So, this picture has been drawn by his assistant, who was Robert Madhaorao. And Robert Madhaorao was another draftsman who came from England. He was a reluctant army man. He was recruited in the army because in one drunken stupor he signed up for the army. And then he regretted it. And then he wrote a very piteous letter to one member of parliament saying, please get me out of the army. When I was not in my senses, I signed up for it, but I will get out of it now. So he was trying to get out of it, finally couldn't, came to India, and being a good draftsman in Bombay, James Wales employed him as his assistant. So this man drew this picture, and if you see the details of this picture, you'll find that these are calabashes. Calabashes are a kind of gourd or a dried pumpkin. So it's got some air inside it. So they are all tied together in the net, and bags of the travelers are piled up on top of those calabashes. The passenger sits on top of them, Somebody is carrying an umbrella to shelter him from the rain. And so a procession of calabashes carries James Whale's whatever his belongings were across the Mula river. And that's how he comes towards, of course, from where the rivers, the starting point of the river may not be exactly opposite to the other bank. He might go down the current and cross somewhere else. So this was the method of crossing the river 8 miles from the heart of the city up to 1792. This was in June 1792. Because 1793, the Peshwa decided this is a very unsafe method and should be discontinued. You will find that the boat is being guided across by people swimming around it. So it goes in the right direction. So this is a very unusual picture we find. And perhaps, because James Whale did not leave his own picture behind, perhaps you can say this is a picture of James Whale because it's not been labelled as such. But since he crossed the river there, the assistant to it, you can say possibly this is a picture of James Whale. That's as close as we can get. The very next day that he reached Charles Mallet's residency on the Sangam of the Mula and the Mutha rivers, it was announced that the great Maratha Mahatma Shinde will be paying a visit to the residency. And a lot of preparation, flurry of activity, one of the greatest nobles the Maratha court was going to come. And he describes how they go forward by a mile with elephants and horses and camels and palanquins to receive the chief. They receive him, bring him back in the big ceremony back to the residency, where a garden house has been prepared to receive him. There is a masnad prepared to carry Scindia. We all know that when Scindia was coming back from Panipat, an Afghan soldier attacked him and he became lame. So he could not walk. But here James Whale accurately describes that he could not walk, he was lame, and he had to be supported on each side, to be taken and to be seated on his masnad. Get that first-hand information from him. Then Charles Mallet goes and presents him some gifts and very precious jewels, for which he goes down on one knee. Now this is a privilege reserved to the Queen of England today, to go down on one knee and present her something. But that time Charles Mallet, the representative of the East India Company, went down on one knee and gave him some precious rose diamonds. His son Madhaorao was there. He gave him a garland of a big topaz which hung over his chest. The dancing girls were there. Some of the girls were presented almost 50,000. They earned about 50,000 rupees a year. Some of the ornaments which these dancing girls wore, he says, were valued about 15,000 rupees at that time. And they entertained them till about 11 p.m. at night. Scindia waited for 1 hour and went back. So all these first-hand graphic reports you get about Scindia's visit. The very next day in the morning, he finds on the beach opposite the residency, by the riverside, he sees a horrid sight where a lady is going sati. And this picture is drawn by his assistant Robert Magon, which shows trumpeters, elephants, horses and camels were not shown in the picture but they were there. And the lady is going sati. In fact, I can't show it any larger than this, but somewhere in the center you find a lady standing here and her body, husband of corpse is being washed in the river. There's a funeral pyre being lit here. And somewhere in this crowd you will find a woman carrying a small child. So that's how a large number of people came to attend these sati ceremonies. And over his entire durational stay in Pune, he went and attended different sati ceremonies. And he even used to go on an elephant, so he can get a bird's eye view of what exactly is happening around the funeral pyre. And many pictures, one picture shows the position of various people there. Now he had to prove himself in Buddha, what he is, what he does. So first he had to get a picture of somebody important. And he found a Persian translator there called Sayyid Jaluddin Hassan. He made him sit before him and tried to draw a picture. And this picture being of a highly finished style, he presented it to the Peshwa and he got awards for it, he got recognition for it. But where was this picture was a big problem for me before I printed my book. Luckily for me, the picture came up for auction in London 2 weeks before the book was printed. And that picture really is something which is worth what it was. It was a reserve price of 50 lakh rupees onwards. That was the price quoted in the Bonham's auction. And eventually on the 22nd of October last year when it was sold, the final selling price was about 2.5 crore rupees. So that is the value of James Whale's painting. So when he took this painting to the Darbar, he showed it there and he was richly rewarded for it. The same evening he got assignments to make more pictures. And you can see the detail on some of these blow-ups which you find on this picture. Then he finds what are the Indian colors available here. And he enumerates them, which are the colors available in India. And these are something which was new at that time. He didn't know ultramarine is available here. so on and so forth. So he makes a list of these paintings, of the frames which he gets from his paintings, he imports from China. Then he has an assistant called Ganga Tampat Navgire, who's a Pune resident. Now this man, just like Rembrandt, was strong self-portrait, and here you can see him with this guru. This guru is a spiritual guru, not the artistic guru. So this is a self-portrait by him. Then another picture he draws of a rhinoceros was in the Peshwa zoo at that time. You can see a picture of the Parvati there. This is a picture of the Peshwa temple not far from Pune which he draws. So he gives you a very keen insight to what was happening at that time around him. And then you have Nana Fadnis, who is a connoisseur of art, a collector, and he tries to collect pictures from all over the country, from Jaipur, from Purandares, from the Rajput courts, and from Delhi. And his collections are today, in fact, in Aurangabad. If you go to the Marathwada Museum, you will find many of them there. And this picture in the center might interest you, because today it is the descendants of Nana Fadnis and Maiden nearby. And it is claimed that this picture is of Mastani. So this is the only available record which might be, because this picture is very carefully preserved by descendants down the year, and Wales mentions that I am drawing Nana's lady, but he doesn't know whose picture it is. But it was obviously a Muslim lady, so it could not have been anybody else who was so important in Maratha history except Mastani. So today, by conjecture, and even the historians like Sardesai have said in the past that this is probably Mastani's picture. We just have to take their word for it. And then he creates a masterpiece. And how he goes step by step creating that masterpiece, a beetle-nut box with diamonds studded on it, a silk page which is put on the turban, a turban ornament. He makes sketches of this. He gets the assistant to make sketches of this. Then he, after getting these things, he goes and puts other components. There are two servants who stand behind the picture. There is a rose water jar. There is a sword, a Persian sword which was gifted to the Peshwa and Mahajeshi. All these things he puts together. And there is more. He wants to decide what is the composition of the people who are going to be there. Should there be three servants behind him? Should there be one man facing the Peshwa or not? So he makes watercolors of this kind of what is the composition finally going to be of the picture. And after deciding which of these are the most suitable, then he goes out, and this is a big masterpiece. You can see it's larger than life, because James Joyce was the first one who stopped taking profiles, but front-on pictures you could appreciate what the person was like. And you can actually see the faces of these people and imagine what they really looked like for the first time in the 1790s in India. And this picture, of course, is the famous Darbar picture which he half drew and he died before that. It was finally completed in London by Thomas Daniel, who was another very famous artist, but he was a friend of Wales, because when Daniel came to Bombay, Wales took him to all the caves around Bombay, took him to Elephant Trap, took him to Kaneri and so on and so forth. So this picture was eventually completed here, and many of the paintings here, if you find, are copy-paste jobs. The paintings were drawn by James Wales, painted by him, and they were just put here in place by Thomas Daniel. Daniel never came here, the Darbar was never so high. So this is something which is Daniel's imagination when he finally completed the picture. And in fact, Charles Mallet in the center of it, because that was the picture commissioned by Charles Mallet to show himself in his all his glory. He wanted to show that he has completed this treaty with Tipu Sultan, and therefore he is in the center of the picture. All of them are one line, and the entire right hand side of the Darbar is empty, because that's how he wanted to compose the picture. Now, also one more picture of James Joyce, which tragically in the last 10 years is nowhere to be seen. It was hanging in the Pune University. 10 years back, the university came up for renovation, and it is reliably learned, I would say, that this picture is damaged and therefore no longer exhibited. But there is another James Joyce painting which came here in 1925 to Pune, and it was from Pune University 10 years back, nowhere to be seen. If anybody knows anybody there in Pune University, I have tried my best, not been able to see it. So these paintings called the Maratha Empire, because these are the three people who were the main, at that time in Pune, who were the pillars of the Maratha Empire at that time, and he put them all together in this painting. And that's why he called it the Maratha Empire. Now, the first architectural drawing in India was so far credited to a man called Colin Mackenzie, who drew a stupa of the Amaravati stupa in Andhra Pradesh, and that was drawn in 1796. Now, James Wales, based on his documents we find, has antedated archaeological drawings in India by 4 years. This picture, you can find a date on top, 20th of December 1792, was drawn by James Wales when he was passing from Bombay, from Pune to Bombay, stopped over at Karla, went and saw the caves, and he measured it. If you find his measurements are 50 feet high, 57 feet wide, 130 feet long, 30 feet high, and 60 feet circumference. These kind of measurements were taken for the very first time by James Wales, and therefore this is the oldest known archaeological drawing of any archaeological structure in India, which is there in his diaries. And he, not only that, he has drawn detailed plans of every cave he visited. Here you find 4 caves that he has drawn. This is the first cave, which is the Karla cave. The second is the Jogeshwari cave near Andheri at Bombay. This is the Pataleshwar cave in Pune. And this is the Mahakali cave again near Andheri. So he has drawn cross sections and plans, how many pillars, what is the space at which they are spaced apart, where is the stupa and so on. Interestingly, at that time it was not known that these are Buddhist stupas. These stupas were prayed to as if they are giant shivlings. It was only 25 years later that it was known that these are Buddhist stupas and not shivlings. There is a picture in fact of somebody praying to the stupa thinking it is a shivling, but actually it is a Buddhist stupa. Elephanta was one place where he went very often because very close to Bombay. And he is drawn a picture of the elephant, and he mentions that there was an elephant, baby elephant on the back of this elephant. As late as 1760, you find visitors to Elephant describing there is a baby elephant on the back of this elephant. In 1874, the British tried to take this elephant to England, and as they lifted it up, it broke into pieces. So they took those pieces and they joined them together, and today you find that elephant in the Bhau Museum or Rani Sabha in Bombay. If you go, you can still find an elephant. The baby elephant has long disappeared. And this other picture which is there on the right top is the picture of the Elephanta caves. Imagine you are standing with your back to the Trimurti or the Sadashiv there and looking at the entrance. This was how the cave looked at that time. And the pillars are missing because the pillars don't really support the cave. The cave stands by itself. The pillars are eaten up because of the water which is logging those caves at all times. And because of water logging, the rock used to get eaten away. Today, if you go to Elephanta, the caves are whole because the pillars have been rebuilt by the Archaeological Survey of India. But one very interesting point he makes over Elephanta is that the Trimurti which is there, the Sadashiv. The Sadashiv is a very esoteric god, a very secretive kind of a sect which used to worship him. And he says that behind the Trimurti there is a hollow space which I have not found mentioned anywhere else. And he says you can see the hollow space only when you climb on top of the Trimurti and look behind, which today nobody will allow you to do. But that stands to reason because the Trimurti actually is called 4 faces. There are 4 names of the 4 Sadashiv's faces if you go back and look at the Shiva mythology. So this 4th face could very well be behind this Trimurti. Then you go to Ellora, which he describes as one of the most wonderful places. There is nothing in the world among the ancient Hindus or anywhere else in the world which can compare with the Kailas temple. That's what he writes. And I find myself no words, or I find myself quite inadequate to describe the magnificent structure that Kailas is. And he describes the second cave, which is a Buddhist cave actually, of Vishwakarma, which is again in Ellora. He spent 6 weeks in Ellora, and during 6 weeks there he did a lot of. He was only the second European to visit Ellora and to document it in such great detail, measurements and named caves. You have all these 34 caves named as they were at that time. And though some of the names don't exist even today, we are just numbering them 1, 2, 3, 4 caves now. But that time he gives them each and every cave is named at that time. So that is the kind of detailed work, hard work, plans, measurements, paintings. From start to finish, you had everything was there in his documents, was there in his book. I'm going to wind up with a few wonderful paintings which he did. These paintings are very well preserved in Calcutta. So if ever you go to Calcutta, don't miss visiting the Victoria Memorial Hall because these pictures of Sawai, Madhaorao and Nana Fadnis are both in the exhibition hall there, and they're really worth viewing because of the detail. You can see the transparency of the fabric that is brought out over here in these paintings. And that can only be done by an artist of very high order. And the ornaments which are there, they used to be worth 50,000 rupees. And the ornaments used to be sent to James Wales, kept with him for a full day, and he used to kind of draw them and send them back the same day because he said they are so valuable, I don't want to keep them with me for longer than this. So that is a kind of pains to get the real effect out. And this kind of pictures you will find, none of the Mughal paintings, none of the Maratha paintings show a person looking at you from the front with such great details that they look better than photographs. You can see the expression of the man's face, what it looks like. The lament is that this man has been not enough has been known about this man because his pictures are scattered all over the world, like in Calcutta to Poland to England or to the US. They are not in one place. And in the US you find, in the UK you find they are mostly kept in vaults and you can't see them over there. So this picture, which I find is one of the most beautiful pictures he has done, because look at the fabric which that lady is wearing. Now this is the Rajput wife of Sir Charles Mallet, the first wife. And he left her behind when he went back to England. And James Wales had died by that time, and he was the guardian of James Wales' daughter. And he became her husband after that. So he had some more children there, and that's a separate family story by itself. So this was B.B. Amber Kaur, Charles Mallet's first wife, who was there. And I think I'll end it here and hand over to my most distinguished moderator, Dr. Manisha Patel, to take it on. Thank you.
Thank you for this wonderful presentation. It was such a visual feast, Dr. Kulkarni, and I'm sure it was something, a new kind of fare for the audience here. Well, I had one question when I went through the book. There is a mention in one of the passages that James Wales was associated with a school, an art school which started in the Shanwarwada premises. Can you throw more light upon that?
Hello. Actually, when he started doing all these drawings and paintings in Pune, he was always looking ahead. He was thinking that this cannot be just an isolated affair, and there was no hint that time that the Maratha Empire might end in the next 2 decades. So he kept trying to tell the Peshwa and Nana Fadnes that you must have a permanent exhibition for his paintings and a permanent school. So a school called Chitrashala was probably established at that time, which continued till the mid-20th century. It became Chitrashala Press after that. But old pictures of the Peshwa period still have the label Chitrashala under them. So Chitrashala was started in the late 18th century, and Wales wanted something more to be done. He did not live to see it being completed. The Peshwa died 15 days before Wales died, and all those projects kind of fell away because the politics of the time kind of took over, and these things could not really reach their completion.
Thank you for elaborating upon it. There are a few observations which I was making while seeing the presentation and also reading the book. I was quite fascinated that in today's times, a journey from from Bombay to Pune takes us barely 3.5 hours by the train or by road. But those days, when I recall, that is why I think the emphasis is, important why Kulkarni sir has given to the details, of the writings of diaries of Wales. He begins his journey in the monsoon, at the onset of monsoon on 24th of June, right? And he reaches Pune via that route which he has mentioned just now on the 29th or 30th. So imagine in those times it took almost 8 days to reach from Bombay to Pune, and he embarked upon his journey from Bombay by the sea route. He took a small boat from Mazgaon docks, and then he went to Belapur.
First to
Panvel, Belapur, and then
Panvel used to employ laborers for carrying luggage and so on. There were two Parsi gentlemen at that time. One was Bomansi and one was Dorabji. I don't know if the same Dorabji store is there in Pune right now. There's a big departmental store by the name of Dorabji's. But they used to bring them goods from Bombay to Pune. Whatever these people wanted in Pune, James Wales wanted. Used to have said Bomansi to Bombay to get this. Even some rich merchants who Bombay at that time, like Nasarwanji, Manikji, who's known in history. His names are mentioned that he got things from him for whatever they required in Pune.
Thank you, sir. And there is another, point which I wanted to make. You have talked about portraits, and because of the constraints of time, which is a very vital factor at the festival, we have not covered, extensively all the portraits which he has talked about in the book. So I believe that this book is a very important document. It's a visual document as well as the textual document of an era of the British colonial period, which tells us so much about an artist, and also tells us about how an artist spoke about his stay in India through his diaries. So this notion of documenting, this is a very important point which I want to stress, that Indians have this habit of not documenting what they do all their lives. It's recently there's an improvement in this, but by and large, apart from the Bengal painters, the Tagore family, etc., we have very little documentation about even the Maharashtra painters and sculptors who have contributed such a great deal to the art of to Indian art in general. So pre-independence art चं documentation फार कमी आहे आणि मला असं वाटतं या संदर्भात हे पुस्तक अतिशय मौल्यवान आहे. And as a postscript, I would like to add one more thing. We have talked about the portraits of the Peshwas, and we saw some of the most prestigious portraits of the Peshwa court. For the readers, I would like to add that there is a portrait by James Wales in the Central Museum in Nagpur too. And this is of Mahaji Scindia, the one we saw a sketch of him done by Robert Nagel. And we have a full portrait. It's an oil canvas, which is done by Wales. And well, that is one point which I wanted to tell you. And the other thing which fascinated me while going through the book is that apart from James Wales, who is the protagonist, obviously, there is so much more information about Mabon, Robert Mabon, and one more Indian artist, Gangaram Tambad. So I think this is the most, this is the only book which offers us so many valuable drawings and paintings of Mabon and Gangaram Tambad as well. So I think apart from this, they were also not so celebrated, not so well known, and this book gives us such important leads about pre-independence Indian art. So I think that is, his contribution in a way, because he is a history writer, as I mentioned in the first place, to get to something, an area which was new to him, obviously. I think it is a really commendable job, and I really congratulate Dr. Now we can be, open to questions from the audience. If you have any doubts, please go ahead. Yes.
So firstly, I would like to thank you to bringing James Wales to the fore, and I mean, I would just like to ask you, like many of us, to be honest with you, I was not aware about James Wales before. Like, what made you, how you came across his work? Was it a visit to some museum that made you research on him, or how it all started?
Actually, being interested in history of the 18th century, and I always say that the 18th century belongs to Marathas. So as you go into the history, you want to look for pictures to go with your text. And the best pictures I found were the ones which I showed you, the Darbar painting or the Peshwa book painting and so on. And that led to a curiosity of go through them. When I went to England, I made special efforts to go to those libraries and have a look at these paintings. This was as long back as 2013. Then I started digging into James Wales. I found the entire collection available in the Yale Center of British Art in the US. And then I asked them that can I have the collection, which are all his diaries and journals, and there are 6 other folios which are all not classified. They very generously offered me those soft copies, and I got those soft copies around 2014. But the fine, close written running hand of 18th century with abbreviations of running into nearly 300 pages in 2014 kind of daunted me that should I take up this job. It was only last year in 2018 when I was actually working on another book that a person from Deccan College came to my clinic, and I showed him that have a look at this and what do you think about it. So when he saw that picture of 1792 of Karla caves, he said this is something which is not known to anybody, and there is something which must be published, or at least a paper must be read on it, because this is something completely new which has not been brought out. So then I said, okay, I'll leave my other book aside and start working on this. Took me 4 or 5 months work to just bring that entire handwritten thing into Microsoft Word and then classify it, then get these 300 pictures from all over the world, out of which 225 color pictures we have managed to connect up with the text. And that's how only 225 correlate with another 50 pictures which don't correlate with what is written in the diary, which I have not been able to do. So that's the amount of work he has done.
Thank you for bringing him to fore, absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, if we have some more time, a few minutes, we also welcome questions in Hindi and Marathi. मराठी किंवा हिंदीमध्ये सुद्धा प्रश्न विचारू शकता. You are welcome. Your questions will be entertained. Yes, there's someone there. Yeah.
So even in your solicits at Panipat, you mentioned how bad the Marathas are at crossing the river. And even during James Whale's time, which is literally a decade and a half after Panipat, we see how bad they are attempting at crossing the river. So was it something that the Marathas could never master, and how badly did it haunt them?
See, Maratha always went on the campaign at the end of the monsoons after Dashera, Simolangan, which is the time when the rivers were dry. If they went at any other time, like when Sadashira went to Panipat, it was a rainy season. So they didn't go at that time because the cavalry couldn't work. First, the ground was not good. The rivers were flooded, they could not cross. There are several rivers from here to go to the north. So that was a time when they came back and did their farming. See, Maratha soldiers were not just soldiers, they were farmers in their other life. So they did their farming, did their harvest. After Dashera went out to the Mulukki, which was the time the rivers were low. But you find very surprising that Wales mentions that, in London in 1750 there was only one bridge. And in 1761 the first bridge was built in Pune. A little later, 20 years later, the second bridge was built in Pune. James Whales mentions that one of the Peshwas started building a stone bridge opposite the Shalwarwada. And when he started building it, he died. And when his successor started building it, he too died. So the work was abandoned, thinking that the bridge has got something to do with it. So it is not that there was no effort to make these bridges, but the point is that the empire did not last long enough. Even for that part of their contribution, it said that was the beginning of the cultural renaissance of the Marathas. They had done their fighting, they had their empire established, and that was the time when they could go to more cultural activities which were just beginning at that time. And within few decades of that, the empire ended. So that is one part of the story. And technical know-how, they were farmers to start with, they became soldiers. Technical know-how was not something which came naturally to them. When people lived in areas which were having these perennial rivers, a lot of water flowing, like when you went to north, the Gujars were there. They used to help them to make the rivers across. They knew whether it's a different land which they had to go and take help from the local people. So it's a combination of circumstances which kind of gives rise to the belief which was there. So it's a divergence from the some kind of end.
Does that answer your question? Any more questions? Yes, please.
So when I looked at the portraits, I found that their features were very European. Nana and the Peshwa's features were very European facial features. So could you, for us, analyze these portraits through Orientalist perspective of Edward Said? Edward Said.
Well, he says, the reader says that Nana Furnace and Madhaorao Peshwa have very European features. So would you like to answer part?
There is no other painting which is as representative of what it looked like as what we have now. There are of these people. So there is really no way of comparing them with what they actually look like. So we just have to go, there will be some amount of overlay when a European artist is drawing the pictures, but there is no reason to disbelieve because this is the closest that we have.
Well, can I answer part of that? I feel that the artists who came to India during the colonial period were all trained in the British medium. And they had a certain way of painting, what is known as the academic style of painting. They used to use a palette, a certain kind of a palette. And the palette, the color palette and the brushwork of the Europeans is vastly different from what is done in India. So maybe they were prone to paint them in a fairer complexion than they were actually were. And I feel that I would say that there are no photographs as Kulkarni says, but I feel that maybe they would have been aware of how to draw at least. That part of it they would be very accurate with it. So I partly disagree with your conjecture that they look European, because I don't think they look European. Physiognomy is very Indian, and but the palette is. palette and the way of painting. Because this is the medium was oil color on canvas, and it generates a kind of a different style, which is different from what is done in India. So you can't compare it to the Indian miniatures of say the Akbari period or the Rajasthani period or even the Maratha period before the Peshwas. Well, that is what I wanted to say.
He had devised something called a camera obscura for making sketches. He used them in caves. I don't know if he used them for individuals. The camera obscura was a precursor to present day camera. You can look it up on Wikipedia. You don't have time right now. So that is what he says I have invented. None of the entities in time. And he uses that for proportions of the persons and so on.
Yes. Yes, please. Then we can have a couple of questions.
It's actually a two-part question. I'm a final year MBA student from Jawaharlal Medical College, sir. The first question I'd like to ask is, as ma'am said, there are a lot of local or Indian artists at the time also that are also unsung. Would you say that Sir James Wales, being from abroad, he was able to appreciate the Indian culture and these manifestations more than the person who watches every day and takes it for granted? And is this legacy still continued in our culture today that we don't appreciate what's around us and we need someone from the outside to come and appreciate it?
What is that? So when you find foreign authors writing about India, they write something different from what we write and they notice something different from us. When a person comes from the West and he sees a buffalo on the road, he comments on it. What is this creature? We don't even look at it. So that's the difference in perception.
Apparently.
And there's a long to come in your work.
So the second question is, I'm sure you've been asked this a lot. How do you manage your time between your practice and your medical practice and your journalism and writing?
Actually, I've been 30 years as a surgeon now. And a few years back, I have kind of resigned from my full-time attachment to the hospital. So now I'm doing what I choose to do and do 50 standard procedures which are predictable outcomes. So patients are safe, don't worry.
I'll conclude with the very last question. Sir, what is next? What's coming next?
Next 35 to 60s, which will cover we call it the mastery of Hindustan, and will cover the Maratha campaigns in Karnataka, Bengal, battles with the Nizam, and probably end up somewhere in Madhaorao Peshwa's time. So that is the plan. I've already done the first few chapters, but I think it will take 1.5 years from what my speed of work is concerned, if I will still continue doing surgery.
Thank you so much, Udayji, for this wonderful presentation. Thank you, audience. Thank you, leaders, for being here and enjoying the session.
Ma'am, we also have an exclusively painted painting for sir. This is for my leaders.